I never thought a mailbox would turn my life upside down. I mean, I wasn't putting up a billboard or digging a swimming pool. I was just installing a simple, handcrafted cedar mailbox on my newly renovated cabin property in Willow Creek, a sleepy mountain town where folks waved at each other and everyone's dog had a name. But apparently, that little wooden box was enough to kick off a war with the HOA president, a woman so tightly wound she could probably start a lawnmower with her stare. And within 3 minutes of her calling the cops on me, she got hit with the very same violation she tried to slap on me. Now, rewind 6 months earlier. I was just another burned-out tech guy from Phoenix, commuting 2 hours a day, coding 12, and sleeping maybe 4. I wasn't living. I was surviving. When I saw that dilapidated A-frame cabin listed online, something in me clicked. It was buried in the woods, had a crooked chimney, and termites had clearly been squatting rent-free for years. But man, it had soul. So I bought it, packed my tools, ditched the city, and decided to rebuild something with my own hands. Something real. I'm Nathan, 39, single by choice, mostly. I spent weekends staining deck boards, learning plumbing from YouTube, and wrestling with insulation until my arms looked like they'd fought a porcupine. I breathed deeper every time I pulled into that gravel driveway. After 6 months, I had a stone fireplace, exposed beams, and a porch swing that didn't creak like a horror movie. All that was left was the mailbox, the finishing touch. And I wasn't going to stick a plastic thing from the hardware store out front after everything I'd done. So I commissioned a local carpenter to build me something special. Cedar wood, engraved with the Nathaniel home in a clean serif font with hand-carved pine cones and a little bluebird perched on top. It cost nearly $300, which was stupid, maybe, but it felt like a declaration, a flag in the ground. I finally belonged somewhere. The morning I installed it, Tom, my retired neighbor 2 cabins down, wandered up with his border collie, Scout. Tom's one of those guys who wears flannel year-round and still chops his own firewood. He gave the mailbox a slow nod and said, "That's craftsmanship right there. Reminds me of how folks used to build things." We chatted a bit about wood glue, the smell of rain, and how good it felt to create something that wasn't digital for once. Then he gave me a quiet warning. Keep an eye out for Judith. I raised an eyebrow. Judith? He sighed. Judith Blanchard, HOA president, divorced last year, got herself elected, and now thinks she's the sheriff of every porch and flower pot on the block. I laughed. I shouldn't have. Because 30 minutes later, I heard high heels clicking on gravel, and there she was. Mid-50s, blazer on a Saturday, clipboard in hand, hair buns so tight it looked like a stress knot. She walked right up to my brand-new mailbox like it had insulted her mother. Her eyes narrowed. What exactly is this? I blinked. Mailbox? She pointed at the engraving. The Nathaniel home? That's misleading. This property is zoned single occupancy. Who lives here besides you? I smiled, trying to keep it light. Just me. I figured the name gave it some warmth. Her lips pressed into a line that could slice steel. This is not a bed and breakfast, Mr. Nathaniel. This is a regulated community with standards. That sign implies multifamily residency or commercial intent. I honestly thought she was joking. I chuckled. Big mistake. Remove it within 24 hours, she snapped, or I'll issue a formal violation, and trust me, I will escalate. Then she turned on her heel and stormed off, clicking all the way down the street like the ghost of corporate HR. That night, I unscrewed the nameplate, replaced it with something simpler. N. Nathaniel. Still classy, still mine. I figured that was the end of it. It wasn't. Next morning, I was sipping coffee on the porch when I heard that dreaded click, click, click again. Judith marched up like I'd committed federal fraud. Without a word, she slapped a bright yellow notice on my post. Community Standards Violation. Improper signage. $200 fine. I stared at her, stunned. "Ma'am, I literally changed the plate." She sneered. "Now you're playing games, trying to outsmart the system. I've dealt with your type before." I tried reasoning. "There's nothing in the bylaws about mailbox names. I've read them." "You think this is about what's written?" she barked. "It's about respect and order." I stood there holding my mug, wondering how a man could be fined for being respectful and orderly. She turned and walked away like she'd just ended the Cold War. That night, I read those HOA bylaws again, every line, twice. Nothing, nada. No rule against decorative nameplates. No limitation on mailbox wording unless it's commercial. I even found the board's meeting minutes online. Turns out Judith hadn't just taken over the HOA, she was the HOA. Every decision, every vote, it all went through her. No checks, no balances. So I sent her a polite email, quoted the exact sections, asked for clarification. Her reply? One line. "If you keep questioning authority, don't be surprised when authority responds." I showed it to Tom. He whistled low. "She's spiraling." He wasn't wrong. That afternoon, Judith posted a photo of my mailbox on the neighborhood Facebook group with a long rant about outsiders trying to dismantle our values. The comments were a mess. Some folks backed her, some didn't, but the damage was done. Neighbors stopped waving. One guy crossed the street when he saw me walking Scout. It was like I'd spray-painted graffiti on City Hall. I was just about ready to cave, to replace the mailbox with a rusty tin box and call it a day. Then the cops showed up. 2 cruisers, 4 uniformed officers, 1 confused-looking rookie with a clipboard. They asked if I was Nathan, said they'd received a call from a neighbor, concerned about unusual behavior around property modifications and emotional instability regarding mailbox structures. I burst out laughing again. The rookie didn't. I showed them the mailbox, the violation, the photos. I explained everything. The older officer looked me dead in the eye and said, "Sir, this isn't a crime. This is a civil dispute." They left. But just before driving off, one officer called across the street. "Miss Blanchard, this is the 3rd non-emergency call you've made this month. Please be advised, 911 is for emergencies only." I swear she went pale. Because just as they were pulling away, a city inspection vehicle rolled up, called in by Judith herself, to report an unpermitted structure. She thought they'd force me to remove the mailbox. But see, city code says that if an inspector's called to a neighborhood for a zoning complaint, they're required to check the entire area. Guess whose garage had a tarp covering something mailbox-shaped? Guess who'd secretly ordered a custom cedar mailbox last year using HOA funds under the description Community Beautification Sample? Tom had the receipts, literally. He used to be treasurer before Judith forced him out. He dug up the invoice from the same artisan who made mine. It had her name, her address, and a price, $290. That mailbox never got installed. Probably too painful. Rumor was it had both her and her ex-husband's name carved into it. But now it was evidence. We brought it all to the emergency HOA meeting. Dozens showed up. Judith arrived early, tried to control the narrative. Certain individuals, she said, have been disrupting the harmony of our community with frivolous complaints. Then I stood up. "I didn't come here to fight," I told them. "I came for peace, for pine trees and quiet nights. But I won't be bullied for installing a mailbox, especially not from someone who used your money to buy the exact same one and hide it in her garage." Tom pulled up the photos, the receipts, the violation. The city's official letter arrived during the meeting. Certified mail, hand-delivered. Judith signed with shaking hands. Inside? Notice of unpermitted structure, $200 fine, immediate removal required. City inspector's note, triggered by HOA complaint on adjacent property. Secondary violation discovered during inspection. Time of her original 911 call? 2:14 p.m. Time of her own violation? 2:17 p.m. 3 minutes. The room exploded, not in anger, in laughter, in disbelief, in that slow, stunned realization that sometimes karma doesn't wait years. Sometimes it shows up wearing a clipboard and a city seal.